Hey guys, this is Chris, the lower, slower board gamer, and I thought I would come to you today. Let's just get right to the subject matter. My top 50 board games of all time, and this is going to be 50 through 41. I'm going to do this weekly following the countdown that we're doing with Phoenix Knight and Eric from Higher Ground Gaming over on IDJester's channel Sundays at 8 Eastern. And if you missed this last Sunday evening, we're going to be doing it for the next 4, where we'll be counting down from 40 to 1. About 2-hour episodes, maybe a little longer. But if you wanted to catch all of us together live, go to IDJester's channel, 8 o'clock Sunday evenings. I'm going to be doing the smaller list for myself here at the channel, so that way if anybody just wants to see what makes me tick, you can go forward to the end of the channel and there's going to be a list of the videos here, so you don't have to watch the whole thing. But it's not going to be too long, I don't think. Before we go to the top 50, I do have 2 honorable mentions. 2 games that I've purchased recently, and one that I've known how to play for a long time. Always wanted to add it to my collection, finally did. And that is Tokaido by Antoine Bauza. It's a game about the spiritual journey down the East Road from Kyoto to Edo, the spiritual center of Japan. And along the way, you can make paintings and take a dip in the hot springs, make friends, visit shops, make donations in temples, eat wonderful meals at the various inns that dot the East Road of Japan, also known as Tokaido. The other game, honorable mention, is Ghost Stories, also designed by Antoine Bauza, and I just happened to get this game the other day from Fleabay, and I really enjoy it. Taoist monks are looking to fend off ghosts that lead the way for the reincarnation of Wu Feng, hoping to exorcise him back to the 9 hells. So as I said, I own both of these games. Tokaido, I taught my son how to play, and it was really cool. Approached it from a Zen-like kind of thing, and it was a very relaxing and fun 45 to 50 minutes, and we really had a very good time. It was an easy game to learn and a fun game to play. And so far, I am still learning to do the turn-by-turn with Ghost Stories, but I really, really like the way this game plays, and I see a lot more plays coming up in the future. That is honorable mentions, Tokaido and Ghost Stories. All right, let's go to the top 50, shall we? And we're going to hit number 50, which is a game that has not yet been released. It has been sent to the printers. It has been played, and hopefully it will be shipping to the first P500 purchasers. I was number 343, if I recall correctly, so hopefully I'll get one of the first copies. I hope to have this by the end of June, and that is Mr. President, the American presidency from 2001 to 2020. As you can see, you can still get it at the P500 price. Really, if you're interested in it, do it. But it is a game that places you in the chair in the Oval Office, and you get to go through and do various things that the president would do. You're looking to, I have a write-up, so I really should just read it. In this game, you take on the role of commander-in-chief and face threats both home and abroad. Square off with Congress, face foreign insurgencies, do all of the dirty work while trying to keep your public approval rating, as well as the opinions of your allies, as high as possible. Again, I do not have this game yet, but I anticipate it will be much higher with a few plays under my belt. But this is one that I wanted to put on the top 50, so I decided to put it there. And again, this is Mr. President, the American Presidency from 2001 to 2020 by GMT Games. And now we are going to go to number 49. And that is going to be Founding Fathers. Bye. Founding Fathers by Jolly Roger Games. I've always been a bit of a history buff, especially during American colonial times and into the fledgling youth of the grand project of democracy. Founding Fathers by Christian Leonard and Jason Matthews and Jolly Roger Games has a really cool twist. You're a representative in the Constitutional Congress and attempting to draft the Constitution of a brand new nation. But the game is not about what gets passed or how accurate the Constitution is historically. It's about how influential a politician you can be. You try to sway delegates in debate. And, oh yeah, let's move that down. Founding Fathers. Try to sway delegates in debate and have influence of various factions represented in the Congress, such as those for states' rights or those in favor of a strong central government. If you can be more persuasive, then you will earn more points. You need to be on your game to be the greatest politician extant. Definitely a variation on the theme. I can say I have encountered in many games, and this one pulls it off pretty good with card drafting and worker control. Picked up this game at a game store in Dover on a whim in 2010 at a Yu-Gi-Oh tourney my son was playing in, and I like this game a lot, and that is why Founding Fathers is my 49. And my number 48 game of all time is Corsair Leader. Corsair Leader, I've been getting back into some easy and accessible war games lately, and last year I got Corsair Leader by Dan Verson Games. You pick your squadron, you fly missions in the Pacific campaign of World War II. And I think it's cool rooting for your guys as they get promoted and the nail biting when one or two of your guys come close to making the ultimate sacrifice. This is a fun game. It's built to set up a mission, and best when you can leave it out in between plays. It's kind of a big boy on the table. It takes a little setup and a little breakdown. So if you can keep it out, it's easier to get back to it. But once you're sitting in the chair and honing in on a zero and you let loose and see that crack of smoke, well, you know you hauled the mail today and will live again to fly again tomorrow. Corsair Leader, that is my number 48. And my number 47 board game of all time, it's a little bit of a big boy as well. Takes up some space on the table, but Gaia Project. I really love it. I watched it played at the World Series of Board Gaming. It's been a recent influence on some of my board game choices, as you'll see as we go higher up in the list. But this one here at 47, Gaia Project, is by Jens Drogmuller and Helga Ostertag. And in this game, you're stretching your space wings and trying to get out there and colonize your neighboring star systems and expand even further, trying to outrace other sentient species in the galaxy. Build mines, academies, terraform planets, increase your technology and resources, and in the end, with a little bit of luck, you will be the greatest empire in your neck of the woods. It is a big game. It doesn't come to the table often, but I've played it a couple of times. I got it in Christmas this past year, and it is a lot of fun. It's a fun medium weight game, and it is well giving a look at it. Gaia Project, my number 47. Nostalgia. It ain't what it used to be. But if you can find it on the cheap, it can be again. My number 46 fits this category. Back in the heady days of 4-bit graphics, VHS tapes, and This Week in Baseball. We had this game where you would go around all the lands and collect keys in order to defeat the dragon who lived in the Dark Tower. Yeah, I got this a few years back, and a friend of mine was able to clean up and resolder some components on the circuit board in the tower, and we dragged this primordial beast out about once a year and have to relearn it each time we play it. But oh, the joy of realizing you just stumbled on 99 brigands, and that number growing no smaller as your time and forces dwindle. This game is so good. It recently got resurrected with a new paint job, but this game is just as fun for me now as it was over 40 years ago when I first played it. Take me home. Dark Tower, 46. My gaming group, they like to be, well, stupid and zany at times, myself included. And there's no better way not to take things seriously than to don the giant pantyhose of strength and take out a tax auditor or two. That's right, Munchkin is my number 45. And I'm including the Critical Role expansion, the Critical Role game for the Mighty Nine into the slot as well. You build your characters as you go, you get cursed, and be like school on Saturday. No class. burn an anthill and bribe the GM with food to level up, and become the greatest munchkin of them all. Being the first one to 10 points wins. But for my group, it's all about raucous laughter and difficulty breathing, and this game invariably brings that to the table. This game scratches that lightweight, I don't want to take anything seriously right now itch, and it does it well. And for those of you who are D&D fans and fans of Critical Role, this is a really good extra game because it brings a lot of characters into life, and it's really neat. Being Caleb Widogast, the wizard from Rexentrum. But yeah, Munchkin, definitely. Steve Jackson's game comes in as my number 45 of all time. Sorry, I keep forgetting to do that thing. But as you can see, my number 44 game of all time, well, this is the first sports game on my list. And after all, that's how I got my start in this zany thing we call content creation. And weighing in at number 4 is Stratomatic Hockey. I've only ever played the basic version because I'm not a guy who follows hockey except for Olympic time. Basic version is enough for me. I love the way the game is filled with highs and lows, both emotions and sticks. I first got this game 5 years ago, and I remember rolling a tribute game for Kenny Castro's mom when she died a few years back. And it's games like this that let us do things, little things, for each other in this community. That makes big differences and build even bigger and longer lasting friendships. And just, it plays very well. It moves smoothly. There's a lot more as you get into the advanced and super advanced versions of the game, but this is good enough for me. Stratomatic Hockey, my number 44. Now, I gotta say, I like to punish myself with a big game, a big heavy game, and I gotta grind through for what at times might seem like an eternity. Stuff like Fortress Europa. I mean, there are some big take-it-on games. But GMT's Cataclysm, A Second World War by Scott Muldoon and William Turdoslevich. Yeah, somehow, it doesn't feel like that to me. It's really cool delving into the international relations that lead up to the global conflict. It's a bigger picture game. It's a grand strategy game. Combat is part of it, but combat does not overrun the action. It is all inclusive into all the components that created the Second World War. But it's neat trying to figure out when to pull the trigger on stuff. Too soon and you're an outcast, and too late you run the risk of not being able to make a dent on the world scene in an impactful way. Mobilizing, diplomacy, working at home, and agreements abroad. This game is a very satisfying effort every time I set it up and spend a week or more evenings after work resetting the old gray matter. It's so engaging, but you can't help but forget everything else, even if only for a short amount of time. And this is why Cataclysm, A Second World War, is my number 43. And my number 42 is going to be another pair of games by Consim Press Games and also by GMT, and that is going to be The Hunters and The Hunted. As I mentioned earlier, I'm getting back into, I suppose you could call them entry-level war games, and 2 games here at number 42. They're by Gregory Smith and Consim Press. These 2 great games are great. I live close to Fort Miles in Lewis, Delaware, down by the beaches. Where U-858 surrendered to Allied forces of the 261st Coastal Artillery Battalion. And it's neat to create and follow this and other boats through their missions and keep getting detected and somehow finding a way out of combat and limping home having lost half your crew and looking at a 4-month refit. Yeah, playing these games feels like holding your breath while surface crews are trying to ascertain your location, and yes, I have held my breath on one or more occasions playing this game. These are 2 great games, The Hunters and The Hunted. Together they make up my number 42. Excuse me. And last but not least, number 41. This is going to round out 50 to 41. This is another space game, but with a different flavor than Gaia Project. This game is Space Empires 4X by Jim Crone and GMT Games, one of the later editions. But you start out small and you expand through your home area, and then make no binding agreements with your little brother so he can mop the stars with you, even though you just knew he was going to do that again, but maybe this one time. Yeah, sibling rivalry at its finest. This game can take a long time to play, but as long as you don't have that one empire that falls behind early and is out of the game with lots of game remaining, it's happened. I'm trying not to let it happen. This marathon of sweet space exploration and combat is just, it's awesome. Those scouts are valuable, but once you get to a point, they are cheap. Lose them to danger or a black hole. Get your colonies up and running. Haul in those materials and roll over some serious space bucks to get that fleet of dreadnoughts up and running. And be the biggest, be the best, be all that you can be in my number 41 game of all time, Space Empires 4X. And that is it. That is 50 through 41. Let's go over them again. Number 50, Mr. President, the American Presidency, which actually is going to be part of an honorable mention on the stream because, again, I don't own it yet, and I have two other games that I really, really like that I mentioned as well in Tokaido and Ghost Story. So they're really going to be a three-way honorable mention. 49 is Founding Fathers, 48 Corsair Leader, 47 Gaia Project, 46 The Dark Tower. Just look at it one more time. Yeah. I have it. 45 Munchkin, 44 Stratomatic Hockey, 43 Cataclysm, A Second World War, 42 The Hunters and the Hunted, and 41 Space Empires 4X. So I just wanted to share with you guys that. We're again, go over to IDJester's channel this Sunday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern. And myself, Phoenix Knight, Eric from Higher Ground Gaming, and IDJ are going to be doing our number 40 through 31. Don't want to miss that. Join in on the fun. Say what if you agree with our picks. Say what you might have picked a little higher or a little lower, and then we'll just keep going anyway because, you know, that's the way we are. Snobby little content creators, all of us. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and as always, keep on rolling.